An entire recruiting cycle has gone by, summer is quickly approaching, and you see all your friends and classmates posting about the internship or job offer that they received on LinkedIn. But after each post you scroll past, the feeling of regret grows as you can't help but think about how you were unable to get an offer yourself. If this sounds familiar to you, don't worry because you're not alone. I was once in the exact same situation. About 4 years ago, I found myself entering my junior year of college without an internship. And in the world of finance or any other competitive field, if you don't have an internship the summer after your sophomore year, it'll make it harder for you to get an internship the summer after your junior year, which will then impact the chances of you getting a decent job after college. So essentially, one mistake made early on in your college career can have long-standing impacts because your job prospects hinge on you climbing the internship ladder. And without proper warning, many college students fall into this trap. According to the University of Washington, about 53% of college graduates are either unemployed or working in a job that's not related to their degree. And it takes the average college student about 3 to 6 months to find employment after graduation. So in this video, I thought I'd share some of the tips that I've come across and some that I've personally used to help those of you that are in college or out of college figure out what to do if you didn't get that job offer or internship the first time around. Apply to as many internship postings as possible. The first reason why you might be having trouble finding an internship is because you haven't applied to enough job postings. I would say the more competitive the field, the more job postings you're gonna have to apply to. I had to send nearly 100 applications, each with their own customized cover letter explaining my interest before I even got 3 interviews. Sometimes, unfortunately, it does come down to a numbers game, so the more places you can apply to, obviously that will increase your chances of getting an internship. But if applying online hasn't been working, it's time to take a more proactive approach and to start networking. This can take the form of in-person networking or virtual networking. A few types of networking I'd recommend are going to job/career fairs. Especially as it nears the summer, there should be a lot of these popping up on campus, and while you may not find your dream internship there necessarily, if you're struggling to find an internship, these fairs are a great way to talk directly with recruiters, give them your resume, and not have to submit your resume into the black box that is the resume screening process. Join an academic society. Now, I used to just attend these things for the free food, but there are actually a lot of in-person events where industry professionals will come to the school and talk about their job, and it's a great way for you to network with them and to ask about internship opportunities. Reach out to school alumni and or people in the company via LinkedIn. What I'd recommend is start by typing in a company that you're interested in and put your school name after it. Then when you search, it'll show people that work at that company and went to your school, and because you have at least that school in common, they might be more sympathetic to your cause and might be more willing to help out versus a complete stranger. This won't guarantee a huge success rate. Sometimes people are just too busy to respond, but other times you might get lucky. If reaching out on LinkedIn isn't working, another tactic you can try is to ask your friends, parents, extended family, or anyone else you may know if they happen to know anyone that's working in your field of interest, and if they can put you in touch with them to talk and to ask about opportunities. If you still have been unable to get an internship, here are a few things you can do in the meantime to use your time productively. Take summer classes. This will cost a bit more money, but this may be a good way to get some credits done with over the summer so that you can decrease your workload during the semester, and that way you'll be able to focus on other things like networking, attending information sessions, and working on perfecting your cover letter and resume. Work on developing skills. First, identify the areas where you're not too well versed and study those concepts thoroughly. Let's say you want to get into the banking industry. Things you might study are how to build a financial model and how to read financial statements. Or if you want to get into sales and trading, building your knowledge on different market dynamics, financial asset classes, and following the markets in general would be useful. I'd recommend reading books and keeping up with financial news as a good starting place. I can go into this in more detail in a future video, but some books I'd recommend if you're looking to get a deeper understanding into a particular finance concept are the finance books published by Wiley. I've read parts of a few of them, and they all break down the information into concise and easy to follow sections. In addition to broadening your knowledge base, I'd also recommend honing your interview skills, since interviews don't come easily, and when you do get one, you want to be prepared. One way I used to practice my interview skills was to schedule mock interviews at my school's career center, where someone working there would go through a practice interview with me, and I could practice giving my responses and also thinking on my feet. I would also recommend you write down a list of questions that pretty much any interviewer will ask you and come up with those answers ahead of time. Some sample questions might be, what are your strengths and weaknesses? What is the time that you overcame a challenge? What is the time you had to work as a team? Things like that. Now, don't rehearse these questions so perfectly that you sound like a robot during the interview, but just having a few bullet points prepared for each question, just so you're not scrambling when the time comes, should be enough. Besides getting industry knowledge and improving your interview skills, I'd also recommend researching what other skills would help you in the field you're trying to go into. For example, within finance, it's become very popular to know computer programming. So perhaps if you don't have an internship and you instead take the summer to become proficient at Python, and then finding a way to demonstrate your proficiency through a project such as creating a trading algorithm, that can really improve your resume and put you a leg up amongst other candidates. And that leads me to my final recommendation, which is to do a personal project. If you're unable to find an internship or job that proves your work ethic and knowledge, perhaps doing a personal project instead can demonstrate those things to a prospective employer. Doing a personal project can demonstrate a few things about yourself, including the ability to learn, knowledge in your field, and a genuine interest and passion towards the subject. I don't know if this really counts, but in the first draft of my resume, I literally had trading my own personal brokerage account as my only relevant finance experience. But hey, it was better than putting waiter, Amazon warehouse worker, concert venue worker, which are all previous jobs that I had around that time. And I didn't just put the fact that I traded whatever little money I had at the time, but I put exactly what strategies and indicators I employed in order to demonstrate my knowledge. So if you really need experience on your resume fast, this can be a good option. Many of the tips I mentioned earlier in this video will also apply post-graduation, but the difference is internships are catered towards students, and once you graduate, you may no longer be eligible to many of these internship programs. So if you've graduated and don't have a job prospect yet, there are a few things you can do. Go back to school by enrolling in a master's program, or if you're looking to go into business, an MBA. There are two main benefits to going back to school. One, you're officially a student again, so you have another year to try to get an internship. And it'll probably be easier to find one because these master's programs often have built-in pipelines and host events that are intended to connect students with prospective employers. Another benefit is you'll most likely get a pay raise if you get a job after graduating with a master's degree, since most companies will pay more for a candidate with a master's than one without. For example, currently the base salary for an entry-level analyst position at an investment bank is about $100,000. But the base salary for an associate position, which is someone that is hired out of an MBA program, is about $150,000. The only downside I can see is the financial cost of doing another 2 years in school, which is the typical length of a master's program. On average, master's programs cost anywhere from $30,000 to $120,000, with MBAs being the most expensive master's degrees you can get. For example, the all-in cost to attend Harvard Business School is about $115,000 per year, including things like tuition, housing, food, etc. Now, this may seem like an astronomically high amount to pay per year to attend school, but the median pay out of HBS is $175,000 with a $30,000 signing bonus. So you should be able to pay off those student loans within a few years, and then from then on, it's only positive returns. If you're not looking to go back to school and just want to boost your resume, one option you can consider is to take online courses. There are plenty of online resources if you want to learn a new skill and pad your resume. Colleges like Harvard and MIT offer free courses. Google has an online certificate program where you can take courses and earn certificates. And there are also plenty of courses offered by websites such as Udemy and Coursera, although unfortunately, these aren't free. If you don't have much relevant experiences on your resume, these courses and online certificate programs may give you some more credibility in the eyes of an employer. Speaking of online courses, if you're looking to get into finance, the program that probably garners you the most credibility is the CFA program. A CFA, or Chartered Financial Analyst, is a globally recognized designation given by the CFA Institute. Now, to be considered a charter holder, you do need to complete 3 levels of exams and have to have 4 years of work experience, but you can take the level 1 exam before you have any work experience, and just having the first level completed certainly grants you more credibility. The caveat is the CFA exams are not easy exams, with the pass rate being about 50% for each of the levels. Also, taking the exam itself is quite expensive. You have to pay a $350 one-time enrollment fee and also a $1,200 registration fee for each of the levels, and on top of that, a few hundred more for any of the study materials. I'd like to end off by giving a few general tips that apply no matter what stage of your college career you're in. First is something that I didn't really apply to myself, but now looking back, I wish I had to some extent, and that is to take the time to try new things. I know it might feel like getting an internship is the end-all be-all, and that is exactly how it felt to me back then, but I wish I'd acted less from a place of panic and worry, and instead taken it as an opportunity to perhaps start a YouTube channel or to have tried to start a business. And who knows, maybe either of those things could have grown into something more fruitful than a job or internship could ever become. So try to stay open-minded and know that if something doesn't go exactly according to plan the first time, it could be a blessing in disguise. The second thing is, and I know this may sound cliche, but you need to embrace failure. I used to beat myself up over the fact that my inaction early in college was what caused me to fall behind my peers later on. But as soon as I accepted the fact that I made a mistake and I didn't really know any better, I was able to see more clearly the things I needed to do to get back on track. And this leads me to my final tip, which is to set actionable and measurable goals. This could mean aiming to apply for 50 positions and cold emailing or messaging 25 people this month, and then tracking that progress on a spreadsheet. Then check back every week to see if you're on track to your monthly goal, and if not, you'll be able to easily identify which areas you're falling behind on, or if you need to change parts of your strategy. As the saying goes, what gets measured gets improved. So I can pretty much guarantee that if you track your progress, stay persistent, and never give up, you will certainly get to where you want to be. So those are all the tips I have for you today. I hope it helps. And of course, I'd be happy to answer any of your questions, so leave a comment below.